Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, we've been learning quite a lot from the treasure trove of information dumped by WikiLeaks. Something of particular interest, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, John Podesta, is obsessed with aliens. Oh, and we are the conspiracy theorists. Now, investigative journalist Wayne Madsen has a really great article up at Infowars.com saying it's actually UFO hunters, not the Russians, who've hacked Podesta. And they hacked John Podesta. He was targeted for what he knows about ETs. Now, this might sound sensational, but this article really breaks it down, gets into kind of the history of WikiLeaks, all these hacker collectives. Madsen points out that the main quest of computer hackers would be for the holy grail of U.S. government data files. They're popularly known as the X-Files. Now, our journalist Wayne Madsen joins me now to break down this story, get into these outrageous emails, and why you say it's not Assange and the Russians.
Julian Assange, to me, has always been a hacker and will always be a hacker. He was very active in hacking internationally various computer systems and networks in the late 80s and early 90s. In the early 90s, we had the advent of quite popular television show, The X-Files. And if people recall, there was a spin-off to that show called The Lone Gunman. And the Lone Gunmen were 4 computer hackers. Look, Chris Carter, the guy that came up with The X-Files, didn't just dream that up, because in those early days, and this is going back to pre-World Wide Web. This is when people would access bulletin board systems and systems via CompuServe, Prodigy, and America Online. And this is when Assange and his fellow cypherpunks were very active in trying to break in to various government computer systems. And in those days, the holy grail, as I call it, was anything you could possibly get on UFOs. You know, Roswell, Area 51, and that has never died among the hacker community. And now with the web being the way it is, and Hillary really, she sounded the dog whistle on a talk show where she said, yes, she's in favor of as much disclosure as possible. Her husband, Bill Clinton, said essentially the same thing. Well, this attracts every hacker in the world, people like this fellow McKinnon, who was indicted a few years back by the United States, a Scottish hacker, said he was hacking into government computer systems in the United States looking for information on UFO. He's not the only one. There's many like him. And I just, when I saw this blaming the Russians for this, it's so ludicrous. First of all, the Russian intelligence service isn't going to leave digital breadcrumbs to lead them back to SVR or FSB headquarters in Moscow, and never ascribe to Russian intelligence what can be more easily ascribed to computer hackers looking for information about what Podesta knows, what Hillary knows, what Bill Clinton knows, because they have certainly said this is a major interest of theirs.
Right, because of course, John Podesta was chief of staff for Bill Clinton. They are now chairman of Hillary Clinton's campaign. But let's take a look at some of the emails that are actually very interesting. Now, a lot of has been reported about Tom DeLonge, who is the former lead singer of Blink-182. And he was, for some reason, emailing John Podesta. They were doing a documentary. So obviously there's something that's going to be forthcoming with that part of the disclosure project. But one of the emails that I thought was really interesting was from Edgar D. Mitchell. He's an Apollo 14 astronaut, 6th man to walk on the moon. He is saying, you know, John, I'd love to just have a little bit of your time to meet to discuss disclosure and zero-point energy. We can talk to my Catholic colleague, Terry Mansfield, to bring us up to date on the Vatican's awareness of extraterrestrial intelligence. Another colleague is working on a new space treaty, citing involvement with Russia and China. They're pursuing a route for peace in space and zero-point energy on Earth. And then there's another one where they're talking about this war in space race, where he says, remember, our nonviolent ETI from the contiguous universe are helping us bring zero-point energy to Earth. They will not tolerate any forms of military violence on Earth or in space. And then goes on to talk about, Carol and I have been working on the treaty on the prevention of the placement of weapons in outer space, attached for your convenience. What? So obviously here with John Podesta, we have Apollo 14 astronaut saying, look, let's talk about our nonviolent extraterrestrial intelligence out there that's helping us. So I think they've kind of found what they were looking for, these hackers.
And they've been, as I say, they've been looking at it for a long time. And I have to point out, I know John Podesta from years back when I was involved in computer security issues. He used to be the chief lobbyist for a group called the Electronic Mail Association, formed in the 1980s, trying to get people to use email rather than the normal U.S. Postal Service. And of course, he was very cognizant at the time of the hacker threat, even then, even back to the days of CompuServe and Prodigy and Lotus Notes and America Online. So he knows full well that it was the hacker community that has always targeted this environment for information about UFOs. He's actually part of that whole operation. And for him to suggest it was the Russians that were behind it, and he's obviously convinced Hillary of that, and Obama, and these ne'er-do-wells that head up our intelligence services, like James Clapper, who has no clue as to what's going on, in my opinion. Well, I mean, I think they owe an apology to the Russian government, and while they're at it, with all this belief in intergalactic or interstellar treaties, they probably should apologize to that alien hair guy on the History Channel while they're at it.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, you know, they point out here in the Podesta email that Russia's actions in the Ukraine is what they're kind of wanting to cut them out of this space peace treaty deal, because the Russians were kind of doing their own thing. So it's really incredibly interesting. So I encourage everyone to go to Infowars.com, read this article. It gets into great detail. I mean, 6 pages long with all of the hacker collectives and their ties to the KGB, everything. It's report, UFO hunters, not Russians, hacked Podesta. Wayne Madsen, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be speaking with you soon.
Good to be with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday night is the biggest presidential debate in United States history, and we have full coverage for you at Infowars.com/show. We will have all our reporters on this desk, on another desk, behind the scenes, cutting up tape, analyzing what the 2 presidential nominees say. We will also have boots on the ground in Las Vegas, talking to people on the street, scoping the scenes, getting a feel for the atmosphere. We're going to have all of it for you on Infowars.com/show. So be sure, when you're thinking about where to go for the presidential debate on Wednesday night, remember that we will have live coverage for you at Infowars.com/show. The best coverage, covering all angles, real fact-checking, moment by moment, with everyone from our talented team on the scene. And don't forget, of course, Alex Jones himself will be live, breaking down all the lies from Hillary, all the powerful comments from Trump, and everything in between, including the moderators. The best place for presidential coverage, the best place for debate coverage is Infowars.com/show. Be sure you're there on Wednesday night.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.